All right, today we're going to talk about 3 different ways that sellers can sell their houses. Because often when they come to us, they'll say, "Oh, I want to sell my house." And they've seen this very traditional way of doing it. But for some people, we can go one direction where we're going to get them the most amount of money possible. It's going to take a little longer. Or we have another option where we can go incredibly fast, but incredibly simple. So we're going to talk about all 3 different options. So let's talk about traditional first, kind of the right down the middle. What does that look like? What are the pros and cons? How does that work for our sellers?
Yeah, I think that's the one that most people maybe have already sold before. They kind of, you interview an agent, you hire your agent, and they, talk about their, video marketing. We talk about all the different tools we have to showcase their property in the best light, and they stop right there. And I think the difference is that, I think we have so many more tools available that once we show people that, hey, we have these programs that maybe will benefit you more than just a standard listing, you see the benefits.
Yeah.
And, we look at that as on a kind of a case by case basis based on the property.
Yeah. And I would say like now it's even feeling like that traditional one is almost happening. I don't want to say less, but it's like when we end up showing a seller their 3 options, it's kind of the other 2 end up being a little bit, again, depending on the person and their situation, kind of more attractive. But if we're talking about like a traditional sale, that's where, they'll get the house cleaned up. Maybe we do a little bit of touch up on it just to kind of make it look best. We still bring in our marketing team. We still do photos, drone, 3D tours. We do all the things, that we would on our kind of higher end one that we'll talk about later. But it's a little bit more, we'll get it on the market. What do you think? Probably 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks at a minimum, kind of as our best timeline.
Very quickly.
Yeah. And we could go faster than that, but we like to have 2 to 3 weeks. We'll do open houses. We do community events to kind of draw those neighbors. And we're still in that option. We're maximizing the amount of people it's going to. And that's kind of, I guess, probably the point of it is that we need to get it on the market compared to if someone wanted to sell it themselves. Right? We get it on the market to get it in front of as many people as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, the experience that we've done so many of these, right? And we've had people give us different objections all the time. And every time there's an objection or they want to make a change to it, it doesn't quite work as the way it should. So we stick to the plan. And that is kind of the secret sauce, right? Is our plans are proven, they work. Regardless of kind of the 3 levels of listing that you want for your property, we are going to knock it out of the park with whatever plan you decide is best for your situation. Yeah. So with that kind of middle package, average listing, you want to call it that, it's showcased very well. It's minimal turn time. There's very little out of pocket on anybody's part, and the property's, listed on the market, looks great. And we have the whole, a lot more than you see that the public might see as far as from the beginning or the seller might see is with our neighborhood, open houses, our parties, our events that we do to get interest in there, the brokers tours, all these things that we set up. It's very effective. Yep. And it they definitely nets top dollar for the property.
Yeah. So like we said, it takes probably 2 to 3 weeks. We like to have that 2 to 3 week lead time in order to prep the marketing, get everything looking right, get the photos done, have it all launch at like one time. But another option then that sellers don't realize is sometimes someone needs to move fast, right? Or sometimes it's about speed, sometimes it's about convenience. And so that's where the second option comes in, which is more like a cash offer program. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so we call that the easy button, and we have some sellers that really, maybe they just inherited a property, it's in really rough condition, they don't want to deal with public open houses for various different reasons. It is not the put the most money in your pocket solution, but it's the quick, few days, 5-7 days, you have the money's in your bank, sales done, you don't have to deal with inspections. It's very straightforward. And we've done several of those. And it suits the client in that situation really well. But we always are very clear that that's not going to be the top dollar, So we want to give sellers the most information possible, and that's what we do. And so the ones that say, yeah, I want the easy button, we definitely disclose to them, kind of what's going to happen to that property after it's sold, what it probably is going to sell for,
Mhm.
but it's going to take some time. And a lot of times they just don't want to go through
Yeah.
that. They can put that money to work somewhere else faster. Maybe they found a property they really, really want to put that money into, or they want to buy, do something else with those funds. So there's reasons why people do the cash offer. And it's a great starting point. And
Mhm.
if it works for you, then that's a great solution, and we're ready to roll.
Yeah.
So I think that's the easiest way to put it. Is just it's literally as simple as that. It is just,
Yeah.
here's the price. You like it, great. It's done. Sign the paperwork, and you get the money in your bank in a few
Like you were
days.
saying, 7 to 14 days, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
it can be that fast. And sometimes I think we'll find a seller that's like, oh no, I can't go that fast.
sure,
Okay, well, we can tailor it out from there. But for the people, especially some if they're getting into some bank situations, right? Where
sure.
it's like, no, I literally just need the cash because I need to pay off this loan. Or I had one recently where it was, we have to make this family move. It's happening whether or not the house sells. And so it's like, we don't want to go through 90 days to, prep it, get it on the market over the winter, hope a buyer comes along, then go into escrow for 30 days. So like, no, we just need the cash. And there's actually almost like a sub part in there too, where we bring in a partner that can, we call it a double closing, right? Where a company buys the house off of them. An investor will buy the house off of the seller. They'll get a portion up front. The investor comes in and then they rehab the house, fix it up, put it back on the market. And then once it sells, the seller gets a second check, which is, okay, well, now we sold the house. Here's the profit we made. We're taking out a service fee for carrying the loan, doing all the work, doing those things. And then they get a second check. And so that's kind of like an intermediate option on the cash offer
That
side.
is somebody who maybe doesn't need all the money right
Mhm.
now. They need 50% of the money right now.
Yeah.
That is a great option, and we've had some good success with that one. It's basically just like you said. They'll come in there, and let's say it's $1 million house. It could be worth $1.4 million renovated.
Mhm.
They say, okay, here's a check for 500,000 now. You
Mhm.
then basically partner with us in getting that house prepped and ready. All the expenses come out of our vendor. They take care of all the renovation costs. There's no money out of pocket. You've got your 500K already in your bank. Then we go ahead and put 100, 200,000, whatever is needed into that house to get the top dollar. We sell it for $1.3 million, $1.4 million, and you split the profits.
At the end.
Actually, no, I mean,
But it's
yeah,
they get
they
the
just charge
profits minus the service fee.
minus the service
Yeah.
fee. Yeah, so you get all the profit minus the service
Yeah.
fee. So
And so then, if when they fix up that property, if it sells for more, you're making more. Because I think that's what some people, when they do like a cash offer program, like they're afraid, how much money am I leaving on the table? Someone's going to come in, they're going to flip the property, they're going to make all this profit. Well, you can share in those profits using that double closing. And so, but again, some people just want out of the house. One that we did earlier this year was trust, right? The inherited property. And it was a small group in the trust. And they just said, you know what, it would actually be better. Got them a very fair price for the condition of that home,
mhm,
right? It's not like they left tons of money on the table.
right,
The investor kind of took a very narrow margin in it, put a lot of work into it, because these investors can move so fast with their crew, right? They get in, fix everything up, they take care of any inspections or anything they need. Cash that is 12 or 14 days. And then they fix it up, they put it on the market. But if you want to share in that, that's what that other option's for.
right. So yeah,
So
so that's another good program that we have, and it's again, these are programs that are kind of niche, and we definitely want to make sure we give all these options
yeah,
to our clients. When we sit down with them, we basically give you those three
we'll
options,
give you all
right?
three no matter what. Yeah.
Exactly. It's right there. So you got your choice if you want, the quick sale, traditional sale,
Mhm.
or we should probably get into maybe the next one we haven't talked about is our
The-
full blown ready to sell
The
program,
ready to sell, the big kahuna.
the big kahuna.
The one that it's going to take a little bit longer, but you'll net more. Let's talk about how that one works.
Yeah, so this is a great one. So we've got all the ability here, years of experience. Basically, we'll look at your property and we'll say, hey, we'll identify the high, ROI items, right? Return on investment. It's a big
Mhm.
thing, right? So we're not going to go in there maybe and completely gut the house and rebuild it.
Mhm.
That's going to take 6 months, and people don't want to wait that long in most cases. So, but we talk about what's going to give you the best return. Flooring, painting, uplifting kind of cabinetry, countertops, lighting, fixtures, all these things. Basically, we come in, we say, hey, we can get X amount of dollars for this house if you let us put in, let's say we put in $50,000, but that 50,000 turns into 100 or 150 or 200 in resale. That's a great investment.
Yeah.
And we've seen it time over time, and it's proven that this is how it works. And so we come in, we supply our vendors, you just hand us the keys and we go from there.
And, this is one where it's like our, not even just cosmetic things, but also like the foundational, literally, no pun intended on foundation, but the core things about a house that buyers, when they're stretching their dollar to buy a house, they're not looking to buy something where then they need to move in and have a project. Right. And so it's basically the seller taking their equity to eliminate some of those concerns for buyers. And so when we talked about like that traditional sale, we expose it to as many buyers as possible. We expose it to as many buyers as possible, but with like almost like better bait of saying like, okay, same pool of buyers. However, this one, we've already made sure the roof is good. The water heater's good. The foundation's good. We had one where when you get the fogged up windows,
right?
The double pane windows that break the seal and they fog up, those are taken care of. And like you said, okay, not every single one needs all new floors throughout the house. That might be a waste of money, or it might not. And that's where like our knowledge of what's actually selling on the market will tell us what actually needs to get done.
Totally. And we don't always, not for everybody, we recommend the full ready to sell because maybe their property's in this insane location.
Yeah.
Super desirable. They're going to want, we know the buyer that buys this house is going to want to do a complete renovation. We're just going to go in there and clean it up.
Right.
And we're just going to do very, very low level. Just everybody needs to be clean, right? It doesn't have to be updated, but clean. In some cases, we can net more money. If we identify, hey, you know what, we're just going to be throwing money out the window. Or if you put 50K in, you're only getting 50K back. That's not a really good investment. So what we do is we basically say, hey, we're just going to go in and do very minimal cleaning, getting the house prepped, and we're going to utilize the location, the market to help push that value up on your house.
Yeah. Because then with that third one, with the ready to sell program, that one takes the longest, right? Like, because we're talking about, we need to get in there. The contractors could take a couple of months, depending on the extent of work, right? Could take a couple of months. Then we got to get it marketed, get it in escrow. So instead of like on the far ends of the spectrum, the cash sale, which could be 7 to 14 days, the other side is, maybe 5 months even when we're really looking at it. But there's kind of a way to hybrid it, right? Where it is when we bring in a bridge loan program to help the seller get a bridge loan where then they can actually go buy their next house first. So using the equity of the home they're in now, let's talk about that. Like, how can they buy the house to move out to actually make it easier to do the ready to sell program?
Yeah, so that this is a good topic you brought up, Jason, because I think basically some of our sellers, they don't know where they're going to go yet, or their biggest fear is, where do I go once I sell? And so we use this bridge loan product basically to allow them to buy their new home before they sell their current home. That's a whole other topic we can get into, but the part is the selling part that allows us to then have an empty house, which is like the number one, like, best return. If anybody's like, hey, I don't know where I'm going to go yet, I'm not ready to buy, what's the best thing I can do is move out and let us stage your home.
Yeah.
And that's
it.
it.
Like, do the floors.
You'll make more money. Yeah. But I mean, basically the point is that they can go rent a furnished Airbnb for a month, and their return on having that house, vacant and us staging it and clean is going to be the best return on their, even when you figure in the cost of the rental, just because buyers want to feel like it's nobody else's house, it's their house when they walk in and they can vision themselves there. That's the secret.
Yeah. And if time isn't quite a factor for a seller, it's kind of like the best white glove service possible, right? Is that we say, take the bridge loan program, go buy your next house, get moved, use our moving concierge to get, they'll handle the move for you. You're moved, you're in your new house, great. Then we're going to come in, bring in the construction crew, kind of work on the old house. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to live in a house when somebody's sanding floors. You will find sand or sawdust for years, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like you don't want to be there during the construction, and it's even dangerous and liability filled. But it's like, okay, so then once you're already moved into the new house, we can move quicker because there's interest accruing on that on your bridge loan. So we want to move as fast as possible, get your old house on the market, and then sold and done. And then you pay off the bridge loan. If you need to finance anymore, great. And then you're moved and done. But all you had to do was go find your new home and move into it. And everything else, you handed the keys over and everything got taken care of. It's kind of the best of both worlds, both fast in one way and slow in another. No matter what, it's top dollar.
Right. Exactly. No, and I mean, that's what people want is simplicity.
Yeah.
And this is, regardless of which way you want to go and which three options you choose from, we have a simple solution to all
Mhm.
three. And we want to take all that stress that it might sound like is there out of the way, right? So that you can step out, let us be the true, the professionals that we are, and let us
Yeah.
handle it. So you don't have to worry about these things. So I mean, yeah, there's behind the scenes. There's all kinds of
There's a lot going
a lot
on.
of moving parts. Things are definitely difficult. It's not easy, but we've done it so many times. The ones that just put the trust in us and let us do our thing,
Mhm.
those are that we see the best results.
And I like what you brought up earlier. No matter who the seller is, no matter what their situation is, we'll give them all three options, especially if we're giving the cash offer option, if that's what they're sounding like. We want them to see all three because everybody has different needs. Some people are surprised to learn that not every seller wants top dollar, or top dollar isn't the most important thing to them. Again, sometimes it's time or ease. They're willing to give up a little of that upside in order to have a better experience or a quicker experience, something like that. So, no matter what, we can show people all their options. That's probably the most important part. So they can see this is how fast we could go. This is how slow we could go. This is how much you could net. That's actually another big point is net sheets that will show you for all three options to say at the end of the day, this is how much will be in your bank account, right? Because that's more important than the sales price. Sales price means nothing if we're then giving away a bunch of credits to do the repairs that you didn't do in the first place,
Yeah.
right? So how much do you net at the end of the day? How fast do we move?
Full transparency, clarity. And that's, communication is key, right? That's when you work with us, everything is clear, it's concise, and people appreciate that.
Yep.
And that's the most important thing.
Yep. So if someone's interested, it's as easy as reach out to anyone on the team, and we can get you set up with the right person depending on where you live, what your situation is, and we'll go from there.
Perfect, Jason. It's been great. I mean, I can't wait to share this with everybody.